My name is Tom Judd, and my beautiful wife is Linda. I may not be the biggest guy in the neighborhood, but I have my advantages. Our love story began in college when I was 23 and she was 21. While serving in the Army, I simultaneously received a double degree in economics and accounting. On the contrary, she focused on studying biology. Although my military service did not always take place in the midst of conflict situations, it was still fraught with danger. Our squad was often assigned secret missions, and they were often directed against people who posed as allies, but in fact, posed a threat. My experience was in strategic planning and hand-to-hand combat. After graduating at the age of 25, I left the Army and married Linda 2 years later. In 4 years of living together in our family, 2 daughters appeared. At that time, I was accounting for various local businesses and engaged in trade from the comfort of my home. Meanwhile, Linda devoted herself to taking care of our children. But after 10 years of marriage, she decided to get a job at a nearby college-related laboratory. Since both daughters attended school and I continued to work from home, she was able to return to work in a role she considered useful. Our family lived in the same house where I spent my childhood. It had belonged to me since my parents moved to Florida. When I was a student, I bought this house from them. Some tasks in the Army gave our squad a chance for a reward, which we divided into 10 parts. This allowed me to have enough money to make the necessary purchases. Sometime in late February, we planned to go out for dinner and dancing with the neighbors. There were 8 of us, and we all agreed with the nannies who looked after the children at night. Linda and I booked a room in a hotel adjacent to the dance club. She was stunning, a short, slender brunette dressed in a beautiful blue silk dress. We were enjoying an amazing dinner and dancing at the club when a group of 6 people showed up. Among them was a tall, blonde man named Mark Stevens, a midfielder for the local team. The women at our table couldn't help but pay attention to him. Stevens was accompanied by a pretty girl who apparently was wearing an impressive wedding ring. They danced around, attracting everyone's attention. Our friend June mentioned that she was a cheerleader on the team and was engaged to Mark. After spending some time at the party, I couldn't help but notice that Steven was glancing at our table. Eventually, he got up and walked towards us. Without hesitating for a second, he approached Linda and asked her to dance, completely ignoring my presence. I tried to intervene by putting my hand on her shoulder, but she ignored me and followed him onto the dance floor without looking back. As they danced, I felt a wave of irritation wash over me. My irritation only increased when, after a few lively dances, the music slowed down and Linda found herself in Mark's arms. I left the table and went to the bar, letting Mark and Linda pass. The disapproving looks from our group didn't bother me, especially since Linda didn't even seem to notice my departure. I ordered a coffee and lingered at the bar as the slow song came to an end, watching Linda anxiously scan the room before finally returning to our table. Sipping my coffee, I noticed Linda's worried expression when she spotted me at the bar. She looked a little worried as she took a seat next to June. When I came up, they both got to their feet. "Did you like it?" I asked. "Maybe I got a little carried away," Linda replied. June joined in our conversation. "It was just a light dance, nothing special." Feeling a little offended, I replied, "It seemed to me that it was disrespectful to me." I sat down when June announced, "We're going to the bathroom, we'll be back soon." I noticed that they had left, and at the same time Mark went out the front door without his companion. June returned alone, and I immediately asked her about Linda's whereabouts. "Where's my wife?" I asked. June replied, "Linda left with Mark." Shocked, I exclaimed, "Are you kidding?" I jumped out into the street just in time to see Linda getting into a red Escalade car that was already driving away. Back at the table, I attacked June and the others, demanding to know if they knew about Linda's actions. June replied calmly, "Tom, you have to let her go for the night. She will definitely come back to you tomorrow." Dismissing her offer, I said, "No, I don't want her to come back. Let her know when you talk to her that it's over between us." There was an explosion of disagreement at the table, and I was accused of being too harsh. Getting angry, I lashed out at them. "I don't want to have anything to do with any of you anymore. You were all aware of what was happening, but no one informed me. Maybe I could have stopped her. Now she will suffer the consequences." On my way to the front desk, I noticed Mark's girlfriend, who was sitting with the group that arrived with Stevens. When I saw her tears, I went over and asked, "Yes, up to this point I was his girlfriend, but now I'm not," the blonde replied. "Do you know where they went?" I asked. "I know, to our house. He promised he'd never do that when we got engaged." "Excuse me, was that your wife?" she asked. "Was it the main word here?" I replied. "He'll finish with her in the morning and take her home. He likes to gloat over his companion." "That idiot," I said. At these words, the other two men, both of large build, were visibly offended. I decided to ignore them. Instead, I handed the girl my business card and asked her to contact me. She replied with a smile, but tears filled her eyes. I walked away from her without looking back. I took my coat, leaving Linda's coat. I took my suitcase out of the room, but I didn't take Linda's suitcase. Having settled everything, I checked out and went home. As I drove, a familiar sense of determination gripped me. It wasn't the first time I had to make such a difficult choice, even while serving in the army. It was this experience that helped me survive. I regretted that I had not developed a plan earlier. As soon as I got home, I parked the car in the garage, activated the security system, and headed to the basement, where I took out a rope that I had been storing for many years. After that, I went upstairs, undressed, and quickly changed into dark clothes: black underwear, hoodie, sweatpants, old sneakers, gloves, and a balaclava. After putting all this on, I went to the attic, where I securely fastened the rope to the beam. I learned this skill as a child. Climbing out through a small window, I climbed down the side of the house and landed on the other side, where only the forest was waiting for me. When he got to the workshop, he took a backpack, spare socks, a penknife, and an old hand axe from a toolbox. After packing everything in a backpack, I jumped on my bike and raced to the river through a small forest. After passing the bridge spanning the river, I headed towards Stephen's house. A house decorated with a sculpture of a football player and a red car parked in front of it attracted my attention. With an axe and a knife in my hands, I jumped over the fence and rushed to the car. With the help of an axe, I broke the passenger side window, turning on the alarm. I quickly ran to the porch, hiding behind a pillar at the entrance. In less than a few minutes, the porch light turned on and the door swung open. Taking advantage of the moment, I watched an unsuspecting Mark go out into the street armed with a semi-automatic pistol. With a quick movement, I hit him on the head as he passed by, causing him to fall and crawl away. Another hard blow with both hands, and he finally fell. Quickly closing the front door, I escaped by jumping over the stone wall and returning to my bike. I put the axe, knife, gloves, and shoes in my backpack, zipping it securely. I put socks on my feet. I got on my bike and raced to the river, the wind ruffling my hair as I approached the bridge. Stopping abruptly, I threw my backpack into the fast current and watched it disappear into the distance. Due to the rain that had fallen the day before, the river overflowed, forming a powerful stream. Turning my bike around, I raced through the dense forest to the workshop located next to my house. Once inside, I quickly took off my socks and changed into fresh sneakers. Taking a bottle of ammonia solution, I sprayed the handles and pedals of the bike and wiped them with a rag. After washing my bike, I rushed to the house, jumped over the fence, and climbed onto the roof of the building. It was a difficult climb, but in the end I climbed through a small window. Grabbing the rope, I wrapped it around and wiped the windowsill with a rag, and then rushed into the basement. In the basement, I took off all my clothes, including my mask and gloves, and threw them into the washing machine. After taking a shower in the bathroom in the basement, I changed into gym shorts. Then I started the laundry again and went upstairs. Leaving the basement door open so that I could hear the washing machine running, I decided to put on the clothes I had worn to the club the night before. After putting my wet clothes in the dryer, I went back upstairs to have a snack and pour myself a glass of whiskey. I sat down at the table and thought about everything. When the dryer finished working, I returned the clothes upstairs and neatly folded all the things. As always, I hid the balaclava in the far corner of the closet. Glancing at my watch, I saw that it was 3 o'clock in the morning. All the things I've started doing since I got home from the club at midnight have finally been completed. After pouring myself another glass, I settled down on the couch and dozed off. I was suddenly awakened by the sound of the doorbell ringing at 6 in the morning. I looked at the screen of the door video camera and saw two people, a woman and a man, who turned out to be policemen. The doorbell rang again, and I opened the door. "Who are you? You both look like law enforcement officers," I said. "I'm Detective Asper, and this is Detective Logan," the woman replied, showing off her badges. Uncertainty showed on my face. "Is it because of Linda?" "She wasn't physically hurt, but Mr. Stevens was attacked," Detective Asper told me. "Can we go inside?" I agreed and asked about Linda's whereabouts. Detective Logan explained that she was in the hospital being treated for shock. After a moment of silence, I gestured to the sofa. "Please make yourself comfortable." But they preferred to sit separately on chairs. I sat down on the sofa. "I think you should explain what happened," I said, looking at the detectives. "What have you been doing since your wife left the club with Stevens?" Detective Logan said. "Just tell me what happened, okay?" I replied. Detective Asper demanded. "Just answer the question, Tom." I explained. "I went to our hotel room, picked up my things, checked out, and came back here, home. I got drunk and fell asleep on the couch. You woke me up by ringing the doorbell." Detective Logan asked, "Is there anyone else at home?" I assured him, "No. The children stayed the night with the babysitter." Then Detective Asper asked, "Have you called anyone? Have you written to any of your friends to prove that you are here?" I shook my head. "No, but I was really at home." She looked around the room. "I noticed that you have a security system. What does it include?" I replied, "It covers all the doors. I think I can confirm that I was at home. Let me go upstairs." They followed me to the office upstairs, and I sat down at the computer desk. I showed them the system, and they saw me uploading information from 6 o'clock in the evening until their arrival. After a cursory inspection, they saw that the system controls all 3 doors: the entrance, the end door, and the sliding door on the terrace leading to the pool. The side without a door faced the forest and had 2 wide windows that could not be opened, which meant there was no surveillance in this area. "We need to seize your computer," Detective Logan announced. "Why? Did you see for yourself how I downloaded the data?" he asked. "Because there is a possibility that you corrupted the data before our arrival," he explained. "I understand, but I can't give it away for more than a day. It's a working computer, and I need it," I replied. "I have a backup computer, but it's unreliable. I can quickly transfer data to an external drive," I added. They wanted to inspect the house, and I allowed them to do so, but demanded that they stay with me. After taking a few pictures, they left. It was 10 in the morning. I called Linda's parents, John and Stephanie, who were vacationing at their lake house. I explained the situation to them and informed them that Linda was in the hospital in a state of shock. John was shocked by Linda's action, and Stephanie seemed less surprised. "Are you planning to go to her?" Stephanie asked. "I'm sorry, but I don't want anything to do with her after what she did. It's unfortunate that someone attacked the guy, but it's not my fault. He seems to have experience with this kind of behavior. When she is discharged from the hospital, she should be at a distance from me. We can arrange for her things to be taken out," I said. "Have you thought about moving out yourself?" John suggested. "After all, the children grew up in this house." "This is my house, not a joint property from our marriage," I said firmly. John, being a lawyer, hoped that he could find a solution. "Just give her time," he advised. "It looks cruel, Tom," Stephanie interjected. "Not as cruel as what she did to me," I replied. That was the end of the conversation, and I decided to call my parents in Florida to inform them about the situation. They were also shocked by Linda's action. At the moment of the conversation, Dad turned on the TV and informed me that there was fresh news about Stevens. The news reported that he had been attacked and was dead near his own house. This did not come as a surprise to me. At that moment, the landline phone rang. Judy was on the other end. "Tom, where's Linda? Is there any news about the brand?" she asked, her voice full of concern. "She's in the hospital in a state of shock," I replied, remembering what the police had told me. "Have you visited her?" Judy asked urgently. "Which hospital is she in?" "I have no idea, and I have no intention of dating her," I replied. "Don't act like that. She needs your presence," Judy urged. "She will never get any support from me. I don't care that her starry evening was ruined," I replied. Judy quickly hung up the phone. The next day, after taking a shower, I went to pick up the children from the babysitter. It was about 9 in the morning, and it turned out that they didn't know anything about what had happened in the evening. We returned home and the girls asked where their mom was. "I'm not sure if she will join us today. She needs to take care of something important. Let's just enjoy a day without her. Get ready for football," I told them. We went to the sports complex for the games, which took place at noon and at 1:30. I relaxed watching them play. Michelle, the youngest, played well and Laura had a hard time, but she tried her best. After the game, we ate ice cream and went home. While walking with my daughters, I checked my phone and saw several messages. One came from Linda's parents, saying that she was in the hospital and was not talking to them. The other was from a hospital doctor who persuasively asked me to dial the number. And the last one is from Judy, who said that Linda is at the police station and refuses to talk to anyone. She suggested that I bring the girls to her so that everyone would calm down. I sat the girls down and explained that their mother had been admitted to the hospital, physically unharmed, but emotionally shaken by the incident the night before. They demanded details, and I reluctantly told them that she had gone to the football player's house to spend the night with him. I hesitated to reveal the truth, but I knew that eventually they would find out anyway. "Somehow, a football player was attacked while your mom was there, which caused her shock, and this led to her being hospitalized," I told my daughters. They were hesitant to go to her, but I persuaded them to pack their things, and we drove off. I contacted a doctor, Laura Thompson, who informed me that Linda was in a traumatized mental state. When I asked if I could take the children with me, she paused. "Are you planning to visit her?" she asked. "I don't really want to see her," I admitted. "But I can take the girls with me if you think it might help." "Do they know what happened?" "Do you mean the intimate details between Linda and the football player?" I asked. "Yes, I have informed them. They are ready to do it if it helps their mom," I added. Dr. Thompson told us to come to her room number 31 in 30 minutes. We arrived and saw that the psychiatrist, a woman in her 40s, was already waiting for us. After a short conversation, she turned her attention to the girls. She noted that their mother is in a state of shock and does not seem to be at all aware of what is happening around her. She expressed the opinion that meeting with the girls could help. Did they want to see her? Yes, they wanted to, that's all. When I entered the room and looked around, Linda was sitting on the bed, fixated on cartoons on TV. The girls approached her uncertainly. Laura, the older sister, reached out and touched her hand, calling her mom. Michelle followed suit but received no response. Michelle burst into tears. I hugged her, glancing at Linda as I did so. There was no reaction. Taking Laura by the hand, I directed them to the door. "We tried," I said encouragingly. "Will she come to her senses?" Laura asked. "Yes, eventually," I replied. "Perhaps you will be able to visit her again soon. Maybe then she'll wake up and you can talk to her." "But what if she doesn't wake up?" Michelle whispered. I reassured her that she would come to her senses eventually. I explained that the doctor had said it might not happen soon, but I promised to let them know as soon as she regained consciousness. We left the hospital. Laura and Michelle cried in the car the whole way. I doubted my decision to take them with me, but I hoped that their presence would somehow help Linda. Despite my initial anger at her infidelity, I didn't want her to suffer like this. I felt guilty for my harsh reaction, even though she betrayed me. Tears were streaming down my face when we got home. I made scrambled eggs and toast for the girls, pretending that I needed their help in the kitchen. Their willingness to help calmed me down a bit. Then I let them watch the movie, and I retired to my office to call a friend and find out more about what happened at the Stevens house. My friend, the public defender, was adept at gathering information, and I hoped he could shed some light on the situation. He said I couldn't get the police reports, but suggested that ambulance ride reports might be available to the public. I asked if he could provide such information, and we ended the conversation. An hour later, my lawyer friend called me back. He informed me that he had sent me the details of the ambulance call. I informed him of the arrival of the detectives, and he assured me that if the security system had not detected any activity, then I probably had nothing to worry about. But he warned me that the police might require a search warrant or want to talk to me again. He advised me to contact a lawyer if necessary. Despite the fact that at first I thought I didn't need a lawyer, I decided to turn to him. After examining the ambulance report, it turned out that Linda was found sitting next to Stevens, covered in blood and wearing only a thin robe. She repeatedly muttered, "No, no, no," as the police led her to the ambulance. From the time the ambulance arrived until they drove to the hospital, she was unresponsive. The officer looking after her during the journey asked if she had seen her attacker, but she did not respond. What I read made me feel sick, and I couldn't help but wonder if she would ever fully recover. I decided to research PTSD as I had previously done for myself. I delved into the topic of mental states caused by shock, and learnt that although people usually recover from such states, they can struggle with the disorder for years to come. My solicitor, Joanna Drake, made an appointment for me for 10:30 on Monday morning. She gave me her mobile phone number in case the police arrived early, although that didn't happen. The girls and I spent Sunday goofing around, and I tried to assure them that Linda would be back and would still need our support. As for me, I couldn't help but wonder how Linda would react to me when she returned. I was sure that she hadn't seen anything special, or if she had, it was probably just the man in the black mask. However, there was a possibility that she would think I was involved. I was completely unaware of her awareness. I don't think she had any previous contact with me that could have given her the impression that I was capable of doing the deed I had done. The following Monday, I took the girls to school as usual. I was aware of the news of Stevens's death, but Linda's name was not mentioned in it. It was reported that Stevens was with a married woman when he was attacked outside his home. A neighbor heard Linda's screams and immediately called the police. So far, only the authorities knew about Linda and I's connection to the murder, but I expected it to become public soon. Joanna Drake, a gorgeous blonde in her 40s, had a short temper, confirming what my friend had said. I told her the details of the accident, providing her with a copy of the ambulance report. Her reaction was disbelief, and she stared at me in shock. Without flinching, I informed her that the police had unaltered CCTV footage. The footage showed that from the time I got home until the police arrived, there was no sign of anyone entering or leaving the premises. I asked her to fix the problem with the computer as I needed it for work. After giving her the deposit, I heard her contact the police station and asked for Detective Asper to be called. "Good afternoon, Detective," she began. "This is Joanna Drake. I want to talk about Tom Jodd. I'm requesting permission to return his work computer." After hearing the reply, she continued, "No, I think you've had plenty of time to assess any possible changes. Good. Then tomorrow morning I will agree to send someone to retrieve it from you. No, I insist it be someone from my office. Tom may not come." I raised my hand, silently signaling that I agreed to go. She nodded approvingly. "Okay, he'll be here at 9 o'clock. After she finished talking, I assured her that I would not cooperate with the authorities and would keep my phone ready to record any conversations. I left the same day. Upon returning home from school, the daughters immediately inquired about their mother's condition. I assured them that I had already called the doctor and that there were no significant changes. They sat down to do their homework while we waited for the pizza to arrive. Jokingly, I told them that if their mom didn't show up soon, then I would have to learn how to cook. This made the girls laugh, because they knew that I had never done home cooking before. When Michelle went upstairs, Laura suddenly asked me if there was a chance that I would forgive their mother for being intimate with another man. I hesitated, not knowing what to say at the moment, and said, "All I want is for Linda to be able to come to her senses." At that moment, the landline phone rang. The man introduced himself as Jim Bima from the newspaper. Nervously, I answered, and he asked me to clarify if Linda was with Mark Stevens at the time of his death. I was stunned, and didn't want this information to become public. "I have 2 kids at school, and they might get in trouble if this situation gets out," I said. "So, can you confirm this? How do you feel about the death of your wife's lover?" the journalist asked. "I understand your intentions. If your publication harms my family, I will sue your newspaper," I replied. "This will become public knowledge. Mr. Jod, there's nothing I can do about it." Looking out the window, I noticed a TV company truck parked in front of the house. "I see your truck. I agree with you. You have to leave," I said firmly. Suddenly there was a knock on the door. I looked at the camera and saw a young woman with a microphone in her hands. I spoke to her through the intercom, demanding that she leave because she had violated the boundaries of what was allowed. "Is your wife here, Mr. Jod?" she asked. I immediately contacted the local police department with a request to help expel journalists from my territory. In response, they sent a carriage that took a group of 6 people off my porch, but they still lagged behind me in the immediate vicinity of the house. After a while, there were already 4 trucks there. I called the doctor and stressed that it was important to ensure Linda's safety before the press arrived. I discussed with the girls the offer to stay homeschooled with me, but they insisted on continuing to attend school, even if they had to settle elsewhere. I promised to consider their request. After seeking advice from my lawyer, Joanna, she offered to make a statement to the press to relieve the tension. We agreed, and the statement was made through her office. It emphasized our desire to continue to lead a normal lifestyle, spoke about my refusal to comment on rumors about my wife, and contained a warning about judicial measures if the presence of the media in our house continues to harm the family. We politely asked the trucks to leave. Detective Asper and her boss held a press conference at 7 o'clock in the evening to talk about the recent crime, the death of Mark Stevens. According to police, Stevens was attacked near his home. Despite the fact that a woman was in the house at the time, there is no evidence that she witnessed the attack. The investigation has not been completed yet. During the press conference, questions arose about the woman's marital status and whether her husband was a suspect. Detective Asper confirmed that the woman was indeed married, but after a thorough investigation, her husband was cleared of involvement in the crime. He had an alibi. He was at home all night, far from the crime scene, she said. When asked about other married women and their husbands, Detective Asper confirmed that there had been allegations that Stevens had seduced married women. The police checked these statements and found a certain amount of truth in them. It seems that he managed to charm several married women in front of their spouses. "It made us look deeper into this case," Detective Asper said. Chief Johnson abruptly ended the conference by saying, "That's all for today. If there is anything new before the conference on Wednesday, we will let you know." The police drove away to the sound of screams. I have arranged for the girls' school assignments to be delivered here or sent electronically within the next few days. I warned Linda's parents to be attentive to the media, but there were no reporters yet. On Tuesday, the trucks disappeared from our neighborhood. The doctor called and said that Linda was showing signs of improvement and that she was in the company of the police. I passed this information on to her parents before taking the girls to the hospital. When we arrived, the police were already leaving. Detective Asper asked to speak to me after meeting with Linda, to which I agreed. Linda looked shocked, but greeted the girls warmly and hugged them, although she avoided looking me in the eye. The girls shared with her the news about trucks with televisions near the house, but Linda quickly fell asleep. The doctor advised to give her a rest. While her parents were chatting with the girls on the street, I went to talk to Detective Asper. "Her condition seems to be improving," Detective Asper said. "Maybe. I'm not sure," I replied. "Will you take her home until she recovers?" she asked. "And then?" I replied. "I think you'll break up," Asper said. "You have to give her some time." "What other consequences could there be for her besides those that have already happened?" I asked. "It's not about punishment. It's about respect and trust," Detective Asper replied. "I will never trust or respect her again, and maybe she feels the same way about me," I said. Asper smiled. "Maybe she's afraid of you. Maybe she doesn't believe you either." "You're trying to trap me," I accused. "You know very well that I had nothing to do with the attack on Stevens." "But I know about your military background," she said. "I know about your brilliant career in the service, so perhaps an ordinary person would not be able to cope with this task. But maybe you could," she added. "I want to clarify that I did not do this," I replied. "We have surveillance footage from the Stevens house," Detective Asper said. "I was not present at the crime scene. Goodbye." "See you later," she said. There was a threat in Detective Asper's words. In the following days, Linda gradually began to return to her normal life. I continued to take the girls to Linda's every day, but I didn't stay in the room with them for long. On the fourth day, Linda was going to be discharged. She asked for a private conversation with me, and I took the girls. "I'm sorry that I put you in such a difficult position," she said. "An apology won't fix what happened, Linda." "It was very unpleasant for me, especially now that it's all over the news," I replied. "I would really like to return home as soon as I am discharged this afternoon," she said. "Do you mind if I come home?" Aware of the presence of media representatives and their imminent persecution, I expressed a desire to protect the girls from further harm. "Maybe I can get away unnoticed," she suggested without looking up. "I'll alert the guards. I may not want to be around you, but it seems like I have no choice," I confessed. "I didn't mean to hurt you. I thought that your love for me would help you cope with this ordeal. But it seems like I didn't even think about it," Linda said. "Did you have an intimacy with him?" I asked. "No. When chaos reigned, we found ourselves in bed with no clothes on. After studying her carefully, I realized that she was lying. I can't trust and believe you anymore. No matter what, let's see how things develop," I said. "I love you," she confessed, before I packed up and left. Contacting the hospital's security service, I arranged for a car that would quietly take Linda from behind the building to my house. It was supposed to happen at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Everything went well, and Linda returned home at 15 minutes to 5. The children and parents were already waiting for her. I was sitting on the couch in my office, and Linda was sleeping in our room. The rest of the day turned out to be very uncomfortable. Her parents didn't seem to know how to handle this situation. Linda, her mom, and the kids decided to play Monopoly in the living room. Her father wanted to talk to me, and we went out onto the terrace. "What are you going to do, Tom?" asked John. "I'm not sure, but it looks like we're going to break up after all," I replied. "You need to try to forgive. You've been together for so long. You have a wonderful family," John advised. "I understand everything, but I can't help but wonder if our love really lasted that long. If she really loved me, she wouldn't have done that. She denies having an intimate relationship with him. But how should I know? They spent a lot of time together." "Whether it was like that or not, does it really matter?" said John. "It's likely that she did it. The concern is that he might not have used protective equipment, putting her at risk of illness or pregnancy," I said. "I don't like this idea at all," John replied. "She may be here for now, but we'll have to look for another solution soon." We went back to the house together and ate pizza. Her parents had already left, and as far as I understood, they hadn't talked to her about Mark. While putting the girls to bed, Laura asked Linda why she had agreed to spend the night with Mark. Apologizing, Linda admitted that she was wrong and made a mistake. "But I can't figure out why. He is an ordinary football player. I saw him. He doesn't look like our father," Laura insisted. Linda promised to talk about him later when she had more information. After putting the girls to bed, Linda retired to the kitchen. About 10 minutes later, I joined her. After calling a friend who was a public defender, I asked about the autopsy report. He informed me that this was open information, and I asked him to get it. Linda sipped Pepsi, abstaining from alcohol so as not to provoke a relapse. She asked if I would sleep in our bedroom, to which I replied that I would be in the study. "You're welcome," she offered. "We need to wait and see how events will develop. At the moment, I don't see any further path for us." "But it's only been a week since it happened," I said. "I can be patient enough, it's true," Linda replied. "I didn't notice that." I went to my office and went to bed, but I didn't sleep very well and woke up at 5 in the morning. I made coffee and decided to look at a copy of Mark's autopsy report that a friend sent me. I studied it carefully, focusing on examining the damage and the samples that were sent for analysis. It became clear that Linda had lied about not having intimate relations with Mark. I have always been skeptical of her claims, given the chronology of events. She was in the house for about 2 hours before the crime. The next morning, I took the girls to school as usual, but they looked upset. I have been weighing the possible options for a long time. If it wasn't for Linda's condition, I wouldn't have allowed her to return to the house. But there were advantages to letting her stay. For example, it was much easier for the girls. As I was driving up to the house, I was spotted by another TV truck pulling up to the house. A young woman jumped out of the truck and immediately started shouting words, asking about Linda's whereabouts and whether I had forgiven her. I smiled calmly, waved a friendly hand at her, and advised her to stay away from my house. I went into the house where Linda was baking cookies and kindly offered me one. "A truck with journalists has arrived again, but they don't know where you are. And it's better that it stays that way," I told Linda. "What do they want from me? Haven't they already revealed enough information about me and my actions in that house? Can they cause even more harm?" Linda was worried. "I had an unpleasant feeling that they were capable of coming up with even more pernicious stories," I replied. Turning to Linda, I expressed my concern about the current situation with us. I asked her to record the events of that evening, starting from the moment Mark approached us and ending with how she ended up in the hospital. I acknowledged that this task may be emotionally difficult, but stressed the importance of presenting events promptly. If some points turn out to be too painful to retell at the moment, they can be omitted and returned to them later, I said. "I'll try," Linda said. "I need to call and find out if my job is still being saved," Linda added. "Why would they let you go because of something that has nothing to do with them?" I spoke. "Well, I've been gone for a week," Linda replied. Linda was advised to take another week off from work, and the next one too. Then she went into the bedroom and started typing on the computer. I decided to focus on my work and study the autopsy materials in my office. I had to wait a few days for the test results to come back. Linda was behaving normally, but I could tell she had questions about what happened. Our routine continued for several more days until I finally got the results. Linda's DNA and fluid were found, indicating that she had lied about her intimacy with Mark. I waited for her to explain, but deep down I knew that I couldn't continue living with a woman who had betrayed me. The next day, after lunch, Linda came into my home office and informed me that she was done. She handed me a paper with the words printed on it. When I read her confession, I had mixed feelings. "Tom, forgive me for a moment of weakness," she wrote. She went on to tell how Mark had asked her to dance. His charm and reputation captivated her, and she lost her head when they danced. The slow dance captured her, and she confessed that she would have given herself to him right there and then. She couldn't explain why she was so attracted to him, but she couldn't deny that she was attracted to him. He convinced her to sneak out the side door, promising that she would have the best intimate experience of her life in his house. She believed him, and when she returned to our table after dancing, she found that I was gone. I felt my anger boil up when I read about how she shrugged off my absence and continued her plans with Mark, even when I returned and saw her go to the women's bathroom with June. I couldn't believe how much she wanted him, and my heart ached as she described their intimate encounter, interrupted by a car alarm. She said Mark put on a bathrobe and left the house, telling her to stay put. She was looking out the window at the surroundings, but she couldn't see anything. But suddenly, she saw a figure in black running off the porch, jumping over the fence. She wrote that she hurriedly grabbed a bathrobe and rushed to the front door, but found it lying on the path. Stunned and shocked, she froze in disbelief. Linda wrote that she was overwhelmed with guilt. It seemed to her that she was somehow responsible for the sins she had committed. Then the police arrived. Her memories became hazy, and only later did she find herself in the hospital. Linda deeply repented and regretted the pain she had caused me, expressing in a letter her love and confusion about her actions. When I read the letter, tears were rolling down her cheeks. She looked at me with a mixture of resentment and disbelief and asked, "Tom, was it really you, the man in black that I saw that night?" I confessed that I drowned my sorrows in alcohol, feeling bitterness over the breakup of my marriage and the changes in my family. I was filled with hatred. Despite my protests, Linda reminded me that the police had confirmed my presence using surveillance footage. I tried to justify my actions by claiming that Stevens deserved his fate, but Linda categorically disagreed. She insisted that he did not deserve such a cruel end, stressing that he had brought chaos into our lives. She doubted that she would ever be able to love me as much as she used to, or even love me at all. The man she thought she married would never have committed such a heinous act. "Was it worth it?" I exclaimed. "This night was unforgettable, but it wasn't worth the consequences. If we'd just enjoyed the night and I'd come home the next day, maybe. But he's gone, and I'm ruined forever." "Yes, you killed him," Linda said, turned around and hurriedly left the room. "No, you killed him," I whispered. After that, our relationship turned icy. I decided not to make excuses or ask her for forgiveness. I knew I couldn't tell her what really happened. I was sure that if I told her, she would immediately turn to the authorities. She was a woman I could never rely on. She only hinted that if Stevens hadn't been killed, she would have considered this a good night, albeit indirectly. It didn't take long, and I started the divorce process. I asked for custody of the children so that they could live in our house. Since Linda still had a job, I decided not to demand alimony, child support, or free visitation. When Linda recovered sufficiently, I insisted that she find another place to live. She decided to visit her parents, where I handed her the divorce papers. Later, John called me and asked me to revoke the documents, as Linda was in a state of deep despair. I firmly told him that she needed to find a lawyer and figure out the situation herself. He looked angry, but I wasn't sure if it was directed at me or his daughter. He asked about the visit, and I assured him that Linda could see the children any night until they went to bed. The next day, Linda arrived at 5 o'clock. I made macaroni and cheese for dinner, and we ate with our daughters. Before putting them to bed, we played board games with them. Linda expressed a desire to discuss the situation, but I was not in the mood. She insisted that we should settle everything for the sake of our girls, because it wouldn't do them any good if we lived separately. I suggested finding a place where the girls could visit her. "Let's get divorced as soon as possible so that we can set a visiting schedule as soon as possible," I told her. "I never wanted this divorce. I know I made a huge mistake, but I still love you," Linda pleaded. "But I can't stay married to a woman who cheated on me anymore. It's time to move on," I replied. Linda couldn't hold back her tears, and I couldn't help but feel sorry for her. But that didn't change my mind. We divorced, agreed on joint custody, and Linda found a new place for herself and the girls. We managed to maintain a civilized relationship for the sake of our daughters. After a few months, I started dating women from our environment and from work. They knew I was single and I enjoyed their company. When the girls were with Linda, I brought some of them home. The relationship didn't last long, but it was satisfying while it lasted. I made a conscious decision to avoid relationships with married women, although some of them showed interest in intimacy with me. After reflecting on my experience, I came to the conclusion that this is unethical. Linda was great at taking care of others, but had a hard time dealing with her own well-being. Despite taking antidepressants and sleeping frequently, she managed to keep her job and cope with tasks. Her family and friends have informed me that she is not currently in a relationship. 10 years later, Michelle was graduating from high school, and Laura was already in college in her freshman year. Over the years, they have easily adapted to the conditions of joint custody. Both girls dated in high school, and Laura continued to do so in college. I was in a serious relationship with Cody, a woman I met one night at a bar. She, like me, went through a divorce. When we met, Cody was 35 years old, she had 2 children, and her ex-husband lived on the West Coast. When her twin children left for college, she moved into my house. I adored her. She was witty, smart, and our intimate connection was just incredible. She might not have the same beauty as Linda, but she was attractive and attracted the attention of many men. At the very beginning of our relationship, I shared with her the speculation surrounding the death of Mark Stevens, carefully avoiding details about how he actually died. Over time, the hype surrounding the incident subsided, and no arrests or charges were ever filed. One Saturday, Detective Logan suddenly appeared on my doorstep, and I greeted him cordially. I was alone at home, recently retired. "Congratulations on retirement. Retirement is probably a relief," he said. I thanked him, but asked about the reason for the visit. "I just wanted to let you know that, in my deep conviction, you are responsible for the death of this fool, and frankly, he probably deserved it. But maybe not your wife," he said. I strongly denied my involvement, but agreed that Mark most likely deserved his fate. "Whoever did this, I approve of him," I added. I asked him why he thought Linda didn't deserve it. He explained that it was just a one-time mistake that many married women fall for when faced with unwanted advances. In his opinion, if they had met in private to commit adultery, it could have been ignored, but the public nature of the situation was too serious. Detective Logan shook hands and left. As for Linda, she eventually began to recover from the ordeal. One day, Linda and I went to school together to pick up Michelle. "How are you, Linda?" I asked. "It's fine. I started dating a man, but he turned out to be no one I knew. He's cheating on me, and recently I found out that I got HIV infection from him, so I'm going to have treatment. I just realized how stupid I was when I left that night with Mark." "I still love you, Tom," she said with tears in her eyes. "I know you and Cody are together." "Yes, together," I confirmed. "I'm really still very sorry that it happened." We both shed tears as we drove. In the end, she broke up with her man, and I don't believe any of us are truly healed from that evening. I don't regret what I did, but I can say one thing. I didn't want him to die. I'm not even sure if the injury I inflicted on Mark was fatal. He may have prevented the breakup of many marriages, which makes him one of my most significant expressions of altruism.